Yeah. Yeah. So this is about the radio access network procedure for mobility. Okay, as I said, the RAN related mobility management. This happens between two things. One is user equipment and the ENB. Okay, this procedure happens between the user equipment and the ENB, and another one is between the user equipment and the MME. Okay. So why this procedure need to happen between these two elements, either between UV and the ENB or between UV and the MME? Okay. Okay, this is required in order to enable the user equipment to hand over from one ENB to another ENB. Means when the user equipment is moving from one coverage area of SL to another coverage area of SL, so depending upon its signal strength, it will trigger the handover. Okay, so because of that, this RAN related mobility management procedure happens between these elements. Yeah, so it will be classified into two types. One is mobility in the RRC idle state, and second one is mobility in the RRC connected state. So mobility in the RRC idle state means when user equipment is not under active state, means he is not under conversation. Okay, it is idle. And RRC connected state means he is under conversation and he is with the network. Okay, so why the procedure about the mobility management in these two states, that is in RRC states, should be consistent. Okay, that is required to prevent the ping pong between the two ENBs when the user equipment undergoes RRC state transitions. Okay. So that RRC state transition means that is switching from idle state to the connected state. Okay, and it is also applicable to in a host of different scenarios like network sharing, country border, or even home deployment. Means network sharing means maybe say the different service providers, right? Like Airtel, Vodafone, or Jio. So among them, if there is a sharing, in such cases also it is required. Then country border means who are there from country borders also this is required. Okay, so in LTE what we say is radio link quality. Okay, radio link quality is the primary measure that is used in the intra frequency handover. Okay, so radio link quality. The user equipment will select the ENB with the best radio link quality. Means whichever ENB is having a better or high signal strength, that will be selected by the user equipment. As I used to say, in case of 2G, okay, in GSM, the user means the mobile will be continuously monitoring the signal strength of 6 neighbor base stations. So among those 6 neighbor base stations, which base station with which base station it has more signal strength, it is used to switch over to that base station. Okay, like that in ENB also. So the radio link quality is indicated by the reference signal received power, that is RSRP. Okay, for the LTE cell. Right? So how this radio link quality is indicated to the system is that is indicated by the reference signal received power in the LTE, and in case of UMTS cell, it is a reference signal code power, we say. Okay, so selecting the ENB with the best radio link quality is optimum from the interference management and as well as battery life point of view. Okay, because what happens if the user equipment is going to select a base station which is weak in signal strength, it has to emit more power, right? So in that way, the life of a battery will go down early. right? So if it is selecting a base station which is having high signal strength, then it can use less amount of power, okay, to select that particular ENB. Then with that we say the battery life of the user equipment is improved. Okay, so for that is all about for intra-frequency handover. So for inter-frequency handover and inter-RAT handover, so radio link quality is not the primary measure, okay, for handover. Okay, for intra-frequency handover, the radio link quality is the primary measure. But in case of inter-frequency handover and inter-RAT handover, radio link quality is not the primary measure for the handover. So let's see what is it is based on that. So it is based here, means that handover decision process is based on the user equipment capability and type of call, whether it is a voice call or video call and so on, then the quality of service requirements and some other policy related aspects. Okay, so here the measurement report from the user equipment that contains radio link measurement for the neighboring ENBs is the primary mechanism used by the network to trigger and control the handover procedure. Okay. So measurement report from the user equipment that contains what? Radio link measurement for the neighboring ENBs is the primary mechanism used by the network to trigger and control the handover procedure. So here the serving ENB will provide the user equipment with the list of neighboring cells and the frequencies that it how to measure and report when the measurement report is requested. Okay. So it is just about RAN procedure, right? So in this, okay. I told about this. Yeah. Here for intra-LTE handover, okay. So there are 5 events that will trigger the measurements report. Okay, like event A1, event A2, event A3, event A4, and event A5. So these are the 5 events that will trigger the measurement report in the intra-LTE handover. Okay, the event A1 is the what? The serving cell radio link quality becomes better than the absolute threshold value in case of event A1. Okay. Event A2 will be triggered when the serving cell radio link quality becomes worse than the absolute threshold value. Right? So I hope we'll be able to make the difference between event A1 and event A2. Event A1 will be triggered when the serving cell radio link quality becomes better than an absolute threshold value, right? So event A2 will be triggered when the serving cell radio link quality becomes worse than absolute threshold value. Okay. Then event A3 will be triggered when the neighboring cell radio link quality becomes better than an offset relative to the serving cell. Okay. Then event A4 will be triggered when the neighboring cell radio link quality becomes better than an absolute threshold value. So between A3 and A4 is what? It is about the neighboring cell radio link quality that becomes better than an offset relative to the serving cell. Here, event A4 will be triggered when the neighboring cell radio link quality becomes better than an absolute threshold value. And event A5 will be triggered when the serving cell radio link quality becomes less than an absolute threshold value and the neighboring cell radio link quality becomes better than another absolute threshold value. So these are the 5 different events from A1 to A5 will be used for triggering the measurement report based on these thresholds. Okay. This is for inter-LTE. For inter-RAT handover, there are 2 events that will be triggering the measurement report. So here we call those 2 are event B1 and event B2. So event B1 is about is triggered when the neighbor cell radio link quality on a different RAT becomes better than an absolute threshold value. And event B2 will be triggered when the serving cell radio link quality becomes worse than the absolute threshold value, and the neighbor cell radio link quality on different RAT becomes better than another threshold value. During that time, event B2 will be triggered. So for all these events, okay, the e-utron will specify some time to trigger parameter. Okay, that is the amount of time each of these events must be satisfied before the measurement report is triggered. What is this time to trigger? The time to trigger parameter is chosen to prevent the user equipment from ping-ponging between ENPs. Okay, that may happen if no such parameter is used. Okay, so second thing is the RAN mobility management in LTE is designed to trigger the measurement report whenever there is a significant change in the radio link quality, even if it is for the better one. Okay. So you may be knowing about, I said the 5 events, right? Event A1 to A5. Okay. So why event type A1 is defined is you may be feeling that it is redundant because it is deciding about the absolute threshold value, right? So that is required first for improving the link quality. Okay. Then in case of multi-cell network, it is possible to envision the situation where this will not be the case. Okay. Say for example, if the user equipment is moving toward the ENB in a direction such that it is closer to the intersector boundary. In such case, even though the serving cell radio link quality improves over the time as the user equipment transition, right, the intersector boundary, the neighboring sector becomes the candidate for the handover. I think these can be illustrated with proper examples, with pictures. Okay, then you will get the proper idea about which one is the neighboring candidate and which one is the user equipment is going to transition into different sectors. And anyhow, in LTE, as I said, all the cells will be using the same frequency. Hence, we say the frequency reuse factor is 1. That is used to improve the spectrum efficiency. Okay, so in the RRC idle state, the user equipment will decide when the handover is required and in which cell. The frequency the user equipment should target, right? So the e-utron will allocate the absolute priorities to the different frequencies. These priorities are conveyed by the system information message, which is carried over the broadcast channel, BCH. The priority of each cell is determined by the user equipment based on the priority of the frequency and as well as the radio link quality of the cell. So that is in case of RRC idle state. Okay? So RRC idle state, two things are there. What is that? The user equipment will decide when a handover is required and which cell or frequency the user equipment should target. Right? So the e-utron will allocate the absolute priorities to the different frequencies. So these priorities are conveyed by the system information message carried over the broadcast channel. Right? So the priority of each cell is determined by the user equipment based on what? Priority of the frequency and the radio link quality of that cell. In case of RRC connected state, the e-utron will determine the optimum cell and the frequency for the target ENB in order to maintain the best radio link quality. So there it is based on UV based and here it is based on e-utron. E-utron will determine what is the optimum cell and frequency for the target ENB to hand over the radio link. So handover is initiated by the utron based on one or more of the events that trigger the measurement report. That is A1 to A5 and as well as B1 to B2. Right? So A1 to A5 is set for that is intra and B1 and B2 is for inter-RAT. Right? So the e-utron may initiate the handover without any of these trigger events. That we call as a blind handover. Okay. So in LTE, all the handovers are hard handovers. Means the user equipment can be connected to only one of the ENB at any time. Okay. So the odd handover process is a backward handover process, we say. What is this backward handover process? Here the source ENB will control the handover and request the target ENB, right? So either this may be over S1 interface or maybe X2 interface, right? So the source ENB will control that handover and request a target ENB to prepare for the handover and allocate the resources for the user equipment. I think I have explained this with the call flow diagram, right? With the S1 and as well as X2 interface. So there you will be able to see clearly about how user equipment will request for handover with the source ENB and how source ENB will request the target ENB for the handover, right? So similar to that, here when the resources are allocated, okay, and the target ENB is ready to send an RRC message, okay, requesting the user equipment to perform the handover. The user equipment uses this random access procedure in the target ENB to establish the connection and execute the handover. So I have already spoken about this random access procedure, right? So you need to recall what is that random access procedure, how many steps are there, right? Means first it will look for PSS, that is primary synchronization signal. So why it looks for PSS? To synchronize with the time framing. Then secondary synchronization signal. So that is for frame synchronization. So the third step is the allocation of the RACH, right? So with that, so handover in RRC connected state, okay. The resources have been allocated to the target ENB and the user equipment is still needs to use the RACH, okay, in order to obtain the physical layer synchronization like time and frequency synchronization. Okay, time and frequency synchronization is done with the primary and secondary synchronization signals, right? So the user equipment can use the dedicated RACH resources for eliminating the possibility of collision. So this is all about, I think, that procedure, random access, radio access network, mobility procedure. Okay, so you need to know what is happening in each of these two states, RRC idle state and RRC connected state. Okay, so I think, yeah, right. And so, do you have any questions to ask about these events or this one? If you want, you can ask. So, try to understand these 5 events, when these 5 events will be triggered, okay, during a intra LT and all, right? So, depending upon the radio link quality and the threshold value, okay, A1, A2, A3, A4, A5.
So the absolute threshold value and the offset relative to the serving cell, what is the difference between these two things?
Yeah, here in the neighbor cell radio link quality becomes better than the offset relative to the serving cell, right? And in the second case, I said it is about the absolute threshold value. So they have defined clearly about what is the channel quality indicator. Okay, about this radio link quality, I said no, there is a table. I have not kept that table here. So for each of the radio link quality, what is the absolute threshold value? Okay, and the relative is with respect to the serving cell ENB. Okay, and it means there is always some offset between the receiving frame from each of the ENB. I think it is of around 3 subframes, I feel. Okay, I will let me find out that table. Okay,
Fine.
I not kept it. I will find out that table. Yeah, what is to be carried out here is we need to understand this RAN procedure happens between what elements, right? It is between UV and the NV or between UV and the MME. In that I said there are two cases. One is mobility in the RRC idle state, another one is mobility in the RRC connected state. So in each of this one, why the mobility management in these two states should be consistent. I said it is to prevent ping pong between the two ENBs when the user equipment undergoes the RRC state transitions, and also uh, when the host of different scenarios like network sharing, country border, and other things. In that time, to prevent that, we need to have a RRC state with consistent design, right? I said this radio link quality is the primary measure, okay, that is used for intra-frequency handover, and the user equipment will select the ENB with the best radio link quality. But this is not the case for the other one, for inter-frequency handover, right? For inter-frequency handover or inter-RAT handover, the radio link quality is not the primary measure. Okay, it depends on something else. That is about what I said. It is all about user equipment capability, call type, quality of service requirement, and other parameters, right? So here, how do we convey this radio link quality? This radio link quality is indicated by the what? Reference signal received power. In case of UMTS cell, it is indicated by the reference signal code power. Okay, so selecting the best ENB, right, with the best radio link quality is important for both interference management and as well as battery life improvement. Okay, so with that I said about these 5 events, that is for intra LT handover, and for inter RAT there are 2 events, right? And okay, yeah, when these events will be triggered and what happens, I said. Okay, how does it happens in RRC idle state and how does it happens in the RRC connected state, right? So in RRC idle state, the user equipment will decide about the handover, right? And for which cell or which frequency the user equipment should target, and the E-Utron will allocate the different frequencies based on the priorities, right? So these priorities will be conveyed over the system information by the BCH, right? So the priority of each cell is determined by the user equipment based on priority of the frequencies and as well as the radio link quality of the cell. And in case of RRC connected state, the E-Utron will determine the optimum cell and frequency for the target ENB, right? So in order to maintain the best radio link quality. So here the handover will be initiated by the E-Utron based on these events, A1 to A5 or B1 to B2, right? So the E-Utron may initiate the handover without these events also. That we call it as a blind handover. Okay. Then, as I said, in case of LTE, the handovers are the hard handovers. So the hard handover means user equipment can be connected to only one ENB at a time. Okay. That is known as the hard handover. And I said this hard handover is a backward process. Means the source ENB will control the handover and request the target ENB to prepare for the handover and allocate the resource for the user equipment. So why it is called backward process? So it will not be known to the user. Okay. Then how the resources are allocated, I said, right? The resources are allocated and the target ENB will be ready to send an RRC message by requesting the user equipment to perform the handover. So user equipment uses this random access procedure in the target ENB to establish the connection and execute the handover. Okay. Yeah. Why the user equipment will use the dedicated RACS procedure is to eliminate the collision. Yeah. So let me take up that tool and show you the how that PSS, SSS, and other physical channels are used there. You have downloaded this tool, LTE bulletin tool. Anybody?
No, sir.
No. Okay. You can download it. Is open source only. It is not taking much MB also. Just I will share that. Uploading this. I think every time when I execute, I need to share this. What you are able to see now. So on top, it is written antenna 1, antenna 2, antenna 3, antenna 4 throughputs. No, is it visible?
Yes, sir.
Then see here it is written signals, right? Then channel bandwidth, number of antennas, cell identity, then resource blocks, pH ICH group, right? So like that, pH ICH duration, group scaling, then PDCs, quadrupants, a number of subcarriers and all, right? So now I have selected a bandwidth of 1.4 megahertz, right? 1.4 megahertz. So I get the 6 resource blocks. Okay. And in each resource block, how many subcarriers I said? One PRB. That right. One physical resource block will be having how many subcarriers? So this is all about module 3 content only. I think we'll be studying there, frame structure, then all those things.
Well,
Remembered anything?
12 subcarriers.
12 subcarriers, right? Because each, what is the subcarrier spacing?
15 kilohertz.
15 kilohertz, right? So 15 kilohertz is the subcarrier spacing. 15, 30, 45, like that. So up to 180 it will go, right? So 12 subcarriers is 1 PRB. Like that, with 1.4 megahertz bandwidth, I get 6 resource blocks. So in each resource block will be 12 subcarriers. So 12 into 6 will be 72 subcarriers I get, right? So if I run this, means I just click on the signals. Okay, I have not selected any cell identity. So are you able to see this screen?
Yes, sir.
What you are able to see? Yes, what you are able to see. See here, subcarriers 0 to up to 32 is there. As of now, you are able to see till 31, right? So 72 subcarriers it is, you'll be able to, means up to 71. So 0 to 71 means 72 subcarriers. You'll be able to see.
Yes, sir.
So this diagram is clear, na? This red mark is there, then this piecing, guessing. You're able to see this, huh?
Yes, sir.
Okay, then try to understand this. See, so with 1.4 megahertz, what I said, there will be 6 resource blocks and there will be 72 subcarriers, right? So this vertical, I have shown all 0 to 71 subcarriers, means total 72 subcarriers, right? And see this horizontal, what is written here? Symbol 0, right? Symbol 1, like that. So one subframe will have 2 time slots, right?
Yes.
If it is normal CP, we have 7 OFDM symbols. If extended, we have 6, right? So here 10 subframes, no? Right? One subframe will be having 14 OFDM symbols, right? 14 into 10. So we need to have totally 140 OFDM symbols, right? So that you will be able to see here. See, it is 0 to 26 here shown. I will just move this. It will be there up to 139 on top. On top, I think we'll be able to see, na?
Yes, sir.
That is change. See, up to 139. Means it is 140 OFDM symbols, right? So 14 into 10, because 10 subframes is one frame. I hope this picture is clear.
Yes, sir.
So what I used to say about this P-Sync and S-Sync, any idea? Anybody can say, at least now looking at this diagram, which symbol, which OFDM symbol of which subframe the P-Sync and S-Sync will occupy? That we need to understand now. See what we are finding here. See, symbol means 0 to 6 means it is 7th symbol, right? See, 7th symbol will be the P-Sync and 6th symbol will be the S-Sync. Right, this is what, this is the in first subframe, first time slot, isn't it? I hope this is clear. I don't know if you have studied already, you will be able to understand this. Means which OFDM symbol in one subframe of one frame of LTE will occupying this P-Sync and S-Sync. Okay, in one frame, two subframes, in two subframes, and this symbol, OFDM symbol 6 and OFDM symbol 7 will be occupied by the S-Sync and the P-Sync. So here I mean OFDM symbol 6 means here it is symbol 5, okay, because it started from 0, okay. OFDM symbol 6 will be occupying S-Sync and OFDM symbol 7 will be occupying the P-Sync. In the in one frame, two subframes will have these synchronization signals. Okay, in that two subframes, the first subframe, in that first slot 0 will have this P-Sync and S-Sync, and another one is subframe 11 will have that. Okay, subframe 11. So in that way, subframe 11 means what? Where you will get? Is it possible to calculate with this? See, in one subframe, how many OFDM symbols will be there? 14.
14.
So 14 into 11. 14 into 11. How much?
54.
Huh? 14 into 11.
154.
So let me see at that OFDM symbol, I should have this S-Sync and P-Sync. Okay. Yeah. See, we are able to see that P-Sync and S-Sync at symbol 75 and 76. That is, it started with symbol 0, na? Symbol 0, symbol 1, symbol 2, right? So 10th subframe, okay, 10th subframe will have again this P-Sync and S-Sync. So in the first subframe, time slot 0, in time slot 0, in that OFDM symbol 5 and 6 I had, right?
Yes.
This one. Okay. OFDM symbol 5 and 6 means what I mean to say, it should be 6 and 7 if it is started from
1.
symbol 1. Okay, since it is started from symbol 0, that is why here it is displaying symbol 5 and symbol 6. Okay, so the 10th subframe, it will be repeated. So 10th means it will be 75 and 76 accordingly, right? Because in one subframe, how many OFDM symbols?
14.
14, no?
Yes.
Yeah. So 7 OFDM symbols is one slot. That is from 0 to 6 is one slot. Okay. So 6 to, then another 6 will be another slot. So together is one subframe. Right? So subframe 0, in that slot 0, in that again symbol 6 and 7 will be occupied by S-Sync and P-Sync. So that is why I am able to see this S-Sync and P-Sync at the symbol 75 and 76. Okay, 75 and 76. And this is one thing. I don't know how many of you are getting this clarity. If you have read about that frame structure, you will understand this clearly. How many of you have gone through that frame structure? Because at which subframe that p-sync and s-sync will repeat. Okay, that is what I'm showing here. That is one thing. And another thing is, I said this p-sync and s-sync will occupy how many subcarriers? Totally 62 subcarriers. Okay, I have totally 72 subcarriers with this 1.4 megahertz bandwidth, right? Out of this, top 5 and bottom 5 will be not used. So middle 62 subcarriers will be occupied by this S-sync and P-sync signals. So you will find that, see, from 0 to 4, no? So 0 to 4 is not occupied by S-sync and P-sync, it's something else, right? Similarly, if I go down, you'll be able to see bottom 5 is empty, right? That is from 67 to 71, means 5, no? 5 subcarriers. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So bottom 5 and top 5 are left blank, and remaining 62 subcarriers are used by the S-sync and P-sync signal. I hope you got this clarity. Out of 2 subcarriers, S-sync and P-sync will be occupying or using 62 subcarriers. Okay, top 5 and bottom 5 subcarriers is unused. Okay, that is what I have shown here. See, this is about the reference signal. Okay, this is when antenna 1 is used. Even I think I have took some different combinations I have shown how frequently this reference signal will repeat, right? So subcarrier 0, then subcarrier 6, then subcarrier 12, then subcarrier, means after every 6 subcarriers it keeps repeating, right? In symbol 0. Then it starts repeating in symbol 4. I think I have shown this for different antenna, this one. If you have idea about that, then you will understand this reference. Okay, so is it clear about at least S-sync and P-sync and as well as this reference signal? So here also at 75 and 76, top 5 will be empty, and similarly bottom 5 will be empty. Remaining 62 subcarriers will be used by S-sync and P-sync. Okay, so now let me go to the next step, that is about the physical signals.
So the 5 on top and 5 below is predefined, sir?
It is not used. Yeah, it is predefined.
It's always 5.
It's
always 5 above, 5 below.
Yeah. Top 5 and bottom 5 subcarriers are unused.
Okay.
Yeah, remaining 62 subcarriers will be used by the S-sync and P-sync signals. That too what? OFDM symbol 6 and OFDM symbol 7 of the first slot, that is slot 0 in subframe 1, right? Similarly, in the subframe 10, again, that is 75, 76 symbol I have shown there.
Yes.
Let me show you about the physical channels. Yeah, so it has run. Okay, so it is showing the first symbol 0 will be what? See, PCFICH means what is PCFICH? Anyone can say what is PCFICH? PCFICH, physical control format indicator channel. Okay, then next one is what? PHICH, that is a physical hybrid ARQ indicator channel, right? PHICH. Then what? PDCCH, that is physical downlink control channel. Yeah, this is in symbol 0, right? And it is repeating it. You see here, see symbol 7 is our PBCS, means this is the second slot, right? 0 to 6 is first slot in one subframe. The second slot will be having this PBCH, that is a physical broadcast channel. Okay, PBCH and the, okay, so that keeps repeating. Means which symbol, which of the OFDM symbol will be occupied by these physical channels.
Okay.
See, it is actually it is a very good tool. You will get a lot of clarity about these logical channels, means physical channels, which symbol will be occupied by which channel and all. So nicely they have created this tool. Okay, so next let me show the throughput. Yes. Yeah. See, your frame duration is what, 10 milliseconds, no? Right? So these are the resource elements. Physical downlink shared channel will have so many resource elements. Means RE, you know what is RE?
Resource element.
Resource element. Then PBCH, that is physical broadcast channel, will have 240 resource elements. Then physical control format indicator channel will have so many 160. So all it is given. See, P-sync, that is primary synchronization, secondary synchronization, then reference signal, then PDCCH and all. And here, see, for a different modulation like QPSK, okay, what is the throughput of this PDSCH? That is physical downlink shared channel. Na? So, what is the throughput of that? So, when the coding rate is 1/4, see, 0.25 is nothing but 1/4 only. Na? So, during that time, what is the throughput? So, it is 0.4218 Abps. When the coding rate is 1/2, so this is what the throughput, 0.8435. Right? When the coding rate is 0.75, this is what the throughput. And when coding rate is 1, this is what the throughput. So this is for QPSK modulation. So when 16 QAM is used, okay, for different coding rate, what is the throughput? Similarly, when 64 QAM is used for different coding rates, what is the throughput? Okay. So any doubt in this, you can play with this for better understanding of the concepts, especially the frame structure, this channels, throughput calculation, all those things you can play with this. And even cell identity. Here I have taken cell identity as 0. So, okay. So let me show with different bandwidth. So now I took for 1.4 megahertz. Now I'm changing the bandwidth. See here, yes, given all the options. Means this LTE supports these bandwidths, no, 1.4 megahertz, 3 megahertz, 5 megahertz, 10 megahertz, 15 megahertz, and 20 megahertz, right? So all the things he has given. So when I take, say, let me say 10 megahertz bandwidth, I can select. Okay. So when I select the 10 megahertz bandwidth, it will show how many resource blocks and how many subcarriers. So with 10 megahertz, we say there will be 50 resource blocks, right? Right. So 50 into 12, because each
600.
resource will have 12 subcarriers, right? So 50 into 12, we will get 600 as the subcarriers. Hope it is clear.
Yes,
sir. So if I run this, it will show that. So now it will be, means vertical line, it will show 600 subcarriers. Yeah. See, this vertical line starts from subcarrier 0. If I go down, it will be there up to 599. You just observe. And even you can, in the meanwhile, you can see this P-sync and S-sync also. You see, it is at symbol 5 and symbol 6, right?
Yes.
Isn't it? And you need to calculate. It will be 62 subcarriers only. Okay. Out of 72, it will occupy only 62 subcarriers. And
meaning out of every 72, the 62 will be occupied, and then there'll be a spacing, and again out of the next 72, 62 will be occupied.
No, nothing like that. I think only for in one particular subframe in some slot. Okay, it will carry. It will means it will be carried over only 62 subcarriers.
Okay.
Also, see here up to 599 subcarriers will be able to see, right? So now I will go up. Then you will be able to see that it is not there for all that 599 subcarriers. In that, only 62 subcarriers will be occupied by. See here, right? Gone here somewhere. Yeah, for this bandwidth, for a bandwidth of 10 megahertz, so it started from a subcarrier of what? 269. Okay, so 269. You add that to 62. How much you will get? 69, 269 plus 62. So 9 plus 2 is
331.
So till that it will be there. You said how much?
331.
331, na? Yeah, I think you just see till 331, na?
Correct.
Right. Yeah. It is where till 330. Maybe.
I'm starting from 0.
Yeah. Yeah. Since it's starting from 0, that is why it is 330. Okay. And top as well as bottom 5 will be empty.
Okay.
And I think with 1.4 megahertz, it started because their number of subcarriers are less, right? 1.4 subcarriers, only how many subcarriers were there? 72.
72.
So visualization was very easy, isn't it? 6 resource blocks only. So 12 into 6, 72. So you could see the full length, isn't it? Out of 72, 62 subcarriers will be occupied by S-Sync and P-Sync, top 5 and bottom 5. So will be left blank. So with that, that full 72 was covered. But here it started from this. So we need to understand this, why it for 10 megahertz, it started from this subcarrier. That is from 269, right? If you
Yes, 269.
otherwise it will be, if you start from 0, it will be 270, right? So in the same way, at 75 and 76 also you'll find that. Yeah, you see, right? From symbol 75 and 76, you will be able to see that repetition of that S-Sync and P-Sync. Clear?
Yes, sir.
Okay, then physical channels. Yeah, this is about the physical channels. It will show what are the physical channels, right? And similarly the throughput also. So you will be able to see the different throughput now when bandwidth was 1.4 megahertz and when bandwidth is 10 megahertz. What is the difference in throughput for QPSK for 16 QAM and as well as for 64 QAM? And here I have selected single antenna. Even I can select 2x2 or 4x4 also. That option is also there. So you can see this now. By clicking here, you'll be able to see. I have selected single antenna. With single antenna, this was the throughput. If I change the antenna 2x2, then throughput will change. Okay. So now I have selected 2x2 now. So let me run once again. Okay. So this will not change. Okay. So let me show the throughput. You see, will be, I think, I don't know whether you people have noticed it or not. Previous case when it is a single antenna, throughput was different. Now with 2x2, this was the throughput. See, with 2x2 for 16 QAM, when the coding rate is 1, I get a throughput of 85 Mbps, 85.73 Mbps. Okay. Fine.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, if I again change the antenna from 2x2 to 4x4, just keep that one value. Remember, I will run and show how the throughput will change. Yeah, you see with 4x4 MIMO, right? So it is possible to achieve a throughput of 161.93 Mbps for 64 QAM when the coding rate is 1. Okay, for QPSK system, if I use QPSK modulation with a coding rate of 1, it is possible to get a throughput of 53.97 Mbps. Okay, with the 16 QAM with coding rate of 1, I can get a 107.95 Mbps. So like this, you can play and you can invest some amount of time to understand the technology. Okay, so it is what I feel it is a very good tool to explore many things, because just reading book may not be helpful and may not be able to visualize most of the concepts. Okay. So you all can download this www.lte-bullets.com. Okay. So you can even change the cell identity. Okay, I made here cell identity 0. So what is the value of cell identity? You can increase in idea. So cell identity. See, PCI can range from 0 to 503. No, it means totally there are 504 unique PCIs in LTE. Right? So you can vary the value of PCI, physical layer cell identity, from 0 to 503. So how do we calculate? Also, I said that formula, right? Cell identity is equal to 3 times n cell 1 plus n cell 2. Yeah, even see, you can change that PHIC as normal or extended also. Okay, that is a what physical hybrid ARQ indicator channel. Even group also, PHIC is group scaling. You can change this also, 1 or 1 by 2 or 1 by 6. Okay. So anything else? Yes, is this tool thrown some light on you people to explore further?
Yes, sir.
What, Samruddhi?
So then, open elective, sir. Have elective, sir.
Class ಆದ್ಮೇಲೆ 5 minutes.
Okay. ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಇದರಲ್ಲಿ ಇರೋದು ಟೋಟಲ್ ಕ್ವಾಲಿಟಿ ಮ್ಯಾನೇಜ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಆಗಿದೆ.
Yes, okay then. Yes, all can explore this tool and try to submit the report about your understanding. Okay, I will keep some marks for that as a part of activity. I will put in this. All are required to explore the LTE tool and submit a report in Google Classroom. Google Classroom. Okay, I keep some marks for this as part of assignment. Okay, so OB activity, you need to explore and you select any of the bandwidth, right? So about that you need to write by selecting which bandwidth, what is the throughput, right? And what is the physical channels, about P-Sync, S-Sync, and all you can write. Then that will show your understanding. Okay. As the activity, okay, marks will be assigned. Marks will be assigned. Okay, then with this, let me close this session. Okay. Post ಮಾಡಲಿಲ್ಲ ಅನ್ಸುತ್ತೆ ಮೆಸೇಜ್. All are required to explore the LTE visualization. What's that?
Finished or?
Yes, definition, sir. Definition tool and submit a report in the Google Classroom as part of OBE. Marks will be assigned for the same. Assign for the same. Yes, sir. Okay, then let me stop. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, man.